The second part of an episodic series may not get the same attention as the first, but that doesn't make it less important. In theory, it should expand on the story and the mystery, all while introducing us to new characters, locations, and intrigue. The second episode of The Council, appropriately titled Hide and Seek, tries its hardest to keep things interesting, but the execution had the complete opposite results. This is not the way you follow up an exciting first episode. When we last left Louis de Rocher, he had traveled to a mansion on an island in order to attend a swanky dinner party filled with some of the 18th century's most important world leaders. He was also searching for his mother, who had mysteriously disappeared while attending the party. But the investigation was sidetracked when he discovered a tangled web involving a secret society, the occult, and a certain politician's daughter. Coming out of episode 1, I was legitimately excited to see what happened next. It had some rocky moments, but it felt like it built to a pretty shocking cliffhanger. The truth is, in order for me to talk about my thoughts on Hide and Seek, I'm gonna need to spoil some of what happened when I played the first episode. And while I have no intention of spoiling the story beats and important details found in this newest episode, some of my complaints deal with elements you may want to discover for yourself. For example, the first episode ended with Louis drugged and in a vulnerable state. Elizabeth had a knife in hand, and any number of terrible things could happen next. Is she gonna kill Louis? Torture him? Perform some sort of sacrifice? Unfortunately, none of these things happened. The opening of episode 2 completely undoes that cliffhanger by making it almost pointless. I mean, you'll spend a few minutes being questioned about what happened that night, but it's such a minor part of the episode that it almost feels like a cop-out. That's the exact moment I realized this episode was going to disappoint. The next troubling sign is when I noticed that the episode only consisted of 3 chapters, with 2 of them primarily set in a single location. This is a much shorter and less ambitious episode, and I have to say that I'm not a big fan of the sudden emphasis on puzzle solving. It felt like a lot of the conversations and investigation elements from the first episode were missing in action here, and in their place are these small rooms you're locked into until you solve a puzzle. This episode was a real slog to get through. It doesn't help that the game suffers from all the same technical problems that plagued the pilot. The attention to detail found in the mansion is absolutely incredible, but the characters look rough and the animation is a mess. I also think the gameplay is slow and clunky, the voice acting is a little iffy, and it's not always clear where you're supposed to go. And I can't believe I have to say this again, but the developers have a bad habit of putting white text over white objects. There's an entire puzzle that's made that much harder to solve because you can't read the choices. How is this still a problem? Now, to be fair to this new episode, there are a few things that give me hope. For one thing, they introduce a new party guest with some interesting information from France. They also give us more access to the mansion, leading to a compelling cliffhanger that could change everything. But having been burned by this episode, I'm going into the next reveal with lowered expectations. I can't imagine that's the reaction the storyteller was going for. Despite being thoroughly disappointed by the second episode, I'm still invested in the characters and the central mystery. As a standalone episode, there isn't much here to recommend. The puzzles aren't very good, the conversations are lame, there isn't as much intrigue as you would hope for. Worst of all, it planted a seed of doubt in my head that maybe the payoff won't be that satisfying. The Council, Episode 2, Hide and Seek, is a step in the wrong direction. Hey, thanks for watching our review. So here's the question of the day. When you start an episodic game, do you always finish it? Or do you just play 1 or 2 episodes and then bail? There are a few I've been meaning to get back to, but just haven't had the time. One of these days, right? In other news, we're gonna have a somewhat abbreviated schedule this week. I still have some reviews to get up, but it's gonna be a little lighter than normal. Don't freak out, we still have a lot to get to in May. So I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.